and welcome to this session on chipping, chamfering, chip slots and oil grooves. Let us begin with the session.
Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to mark slot, groove and chamfer as per the drawing, chip slot with cross-cut chisel by maintaining the dimensions, chip oil groove with round nose chisel and maintaining dimensions, chip angular surface using flat chisel. Let us first learn about chipping operation and chisels. Chipping is an operation of removing excess metal with the help of a chisel and hammer. Chisel is a hand-cutting tool used for chipping and cutting off operation. There are 5 common types of chisels: flat chisels, cross-cut or cape chisels, half-round nose chisels, diamond point chisels, web or punching chisels. Flat chisels. These chisels are used to remove metal from large, flat surfaces and chip off excess metal of welded joints and castings. Cross-cut or cape chisels. These chisels are used for cutting keyways, grooves and slots. Half-round nose chisels. These chisels are used for cutting curved grooves or oil grooves. Diamond point chisels. These chisels are used for squaring materials at the corners and joints. Web chisels or punching chisels. These chisels are used for parting of metals after chain drilling. Let us learn the procedure for chipping off slots, oil grooves and angular surfaces. The tools required for this exercise are steel rule, tri-square, hacksaw frame with blade, divider, vernier caliper, marking media, different grades and sizes of files, surface table, vernier height gauge, angle plate, dot punch and center punch, ball peen hammer, anvil, depth gauge, flat chisel, cross-cut chisel, diamond chisel, half-round chisel. Check the raw material for its size using steel rule. File all the 6 faces using bastard file. Ensure parallelism and perpendicularity using a tri-square. Apply marking media. Mark to size of 70 mm into 48 mm using vernier height gauge on a surface table with the help of an angle plate. Witness mark on the workpiece using dot punch and ball peen hammer on an anvil. File and finish to the required size using different grades of files. Ensure parallelism and perpendicularity using a tri-square. Check the dimensions using vernier caliper. Clean the surface table and angle plate. Ensure the free movement of the scriber of the vernier height gauge. Again, apply marking media on face A. Place the workpiece on the surface table supported by the angle plate. Mark lines from face B at a distance of 5 mm, 15 mm, 18 mm, 30 mm and 39.5 mm using vernier height gauge. Mark lines from face C at a distance of 10 mm, 11.5 mm, 58.5 mm and 60 mm using vernier height gauge. Select a radius gauge of 1.5 mm radius. Mark semicircles of radius 1.5 mm using a radius gauge as per the drawing. Witness mark on face A as per the drawing using dot punch and ball peen hammer on an anvil. Apply marking media on face C. Mark straight lines from face B at a distance of 5 mm, 15 mm, 30 mm and 39.5 mm as per the drawing, using vernier height gauge. Mark a line from face A at a distance of 5 mm using vernier height gauge. Mark a line at an angle of 45 degrees as per the drawing using a scriber and steel rule. Witness mark on face C as per the drawing using dot punch and ball peen hammer on an anvil. Cut the slot to a depth of 5 mm using hacksaw blade and frame on a bench vise. Select a mushroom-free chisel and choose a hammer with a well-secured handle. Wipe off oily substances, if any, from the face of the hammer. Wear personal protective equipment. Keep a rag soaked in lubricating oil handy for intermittent cooling of the cutting edge of the chisel. Hold the job in a bench vise firmly. Support the job with wooden block while chipping. Position the chisel at an angle 35 degrees approximately to cut the metal in uniform thickness. Hammer the head of the chisel by observing the point of the chisel. Hold the hammer at the end of the handle for maximum leverage. Start the chipping operation of straight slot for a depth of 0.5 to 1 mm for half the length to avoid breaking the edge of the workpiece. Stop chipping before the end of the surface. Remove the workpiece from the vise and position it in the reverse direction. Reverse the workpiece and chip from the other end. During this process, frequently dip the cutting edge of the chisel in oil to remove heat. Continue the chipping operation of the straight slot using cross-cut chisel to get a depth of 5 mm for a width of 9.5 mm. Chip the corners of the straight slot using diamond point chisel and ball peen hammer. Finish the straight slot using different grades of files. Check the width and depth of the slot with a steel rule and depth gauge. Chip oil groove of a width of 3 mm and depth of 3 mm with chisel and ball peen hammer. Check the width and depth of the oil groove with steel rule and depth gauge. Chip the chamfered portion 5 into 45 degrees using flat chisel and ball peen hammer. Finish the chamfered portion using flat file. Check the dimensions of the chamfered portion with steel rule. Deburr all the faces and corners of the job. Apply oil and preserve for evaluation. Care and maintenance of chisels. Sharpen the chisel before use. Apply oil to avoid rust. Do not use mushroom head chisel. Do not use a chisel with grease on its head.
To recap, we have learned to mark slot, groove and chamfer as per drawing. Chip slot with cross-cut chisel by maintaining the dimensions. Chip oil groove with round nose chisel and maintaining dimensions. Chip angular surface using flat chisel. So that's all about chipping, chamfering, chip slots and oil grooves. Hope you have understood all the concepts and exercises. See you in the next session.